Take a look at these meshes, especially on the topology. This look like a professional artist made them. Well, nobody actually made them. This is new AI, guys. And this one is absolutely mind-blowing. I actually feel that this one is revolutionary. It's not just new update. We finally get perfect quad topology. Geometry follows surface exactly like the artist would make that. And you can actually control the desired poly count. It's probably the first time we can generate low poly without need of further refine. And if that's not enough, you won't believe how fast it is. It's just real 5 to 6 seconds. The time I was talking about it, you can generate 3 to 4 meshes. That's insane. So it's obviously huge, so let's dive into it right away. We're gonna check different cases and challenges, paying extra attention on the wireframe, and I guarantee you're gonna be shocked. And I'm also gonna show you practical example with my AI character workflow and show you how faster it is thanks to this new update. But before we start, guys, click that like and subscribe button. I do my absolute best to keep you posted the day the news comes, being first to make this video for you guys. Really appreciate your support. Let's get started. So the model name is Tripo P2, which is a continuation of Tripo P1, which is also called Smart Mesh. Smart Mesh because the parts are logically built, and I made a video about that. It was already huge at that time. So it's already been 5 months and we finally got the update, and this one is insane. Just so you understand, Tripo P1 still taking a lead on Top 3D AI Arena, and by the time you watch this video, we're gonna add P2 here for comparison, so you'll be able to see how it performs, and I guarantee you will be top 1. In terms of settings, we pretty much have the same functionality, except we finally have quads. Yes, these quads are worth waiting. Let's start doing tests. I will explain all the details along the way. First thing I was curious about is how good it will handle faces. And I'm gonna generate anime faces. I also gonna generate stylized faces. I guess we're gonna keep the similar amount of quads, around 2500. And poly count choice is absolutely important here. We're gonna show you like how different the results are depending on the poly counts, and they absolutely make sense. And here's the realistic. Let's say we're gonna go with 2500 as well. And you can see the generation is basically done while I was adding the next image. So let's check the results. Let's start with the anime. Okay, what I want to point out here is that eyes made like anime eyes. So if you don't know, this is basically an approach to flat anime eyes. There are no spheres usually. Also, I want to point that every eyelash, etc. is a separate mesh. You can see here and here. So it's easy, very, very easy to control. The brow as well, thin brow, you can see like how it works. The mouse, and of course, if we take a look inside the mouse, we can see that there is like a mouse itself. And it's absolutely unbelievable. You might say like there is no backside of a head, but this is actually how 3D artists make meshes, because there will be hair. If, for example, we add more polygons, let's say 3000 quads we're gonna set, most likely it will regenerate a different way. Here we go, exactly as I said. So basically, if you know what you need, like if you're an artist, this is basically the only setting you need to get any result that you might need. This is absolutely insane. And guys, if you want to try this amazing low poly, it's available on Tripo only right now, since it's only released. And by my link in the description, you will get extra 500 free credits. Even without this update, I still highly recommend Tripo, because it's taking first places on the Top 3D AI Arena, and there is almost 200,000 votes already. So it's not only my opinion, you're also very welcome to just go here and take a look at it yourself. You can compare side by side and then like see which actually works better. Let's take a look on stylized generation. Here is the reference I used. Okay, and this one is different. Maybe here it already can do the sphere eyes, right? But here we can something in the middle actually. But other than that, look at this. It's absolutely beautiful, right? The quads, the mesh, the loops, goes all around. I think it's just beautiful, right? And here's the realistic one. Okay, this is also very, very nice. Look at the loops. They are almost 100% perfect. I would say this a little bit like loops go in circles, so it could be better. Well, actually, let's try do one generation more with a little bit higher poly count. Here's the version with more poly count, and yeah, I mean, we can see the same pattern, and you can see the eyes are half spheres, exactly as they should. Cool. I want to try to do that like with small polygon. How about 1,500 quads? I want to see max capacity in terms of the wireframe. Okay, here we go. Here on the lips, I can see very nice loops. Okay, the nose is nice. The only thing I spot is that the polygons goes by a spiral here on the eyes. While they look fine, maybe that's the only thing that ideally should be looped. Other than that, it's just amazing mesh. And the eyes are not spheres, I guess, because of the low poly count, so we can actually replace the eyes, which I still usually do. And this, by the way, is one of the most difficult cases, and it handles it way better than any ancestors. Let's see how it's gonna handle some characters. I have this orc. Let's try him in 5,000 polygons. Also, we're gonna, of course, try the Mr. Mark, this big gentleman. And if you're still not subscribed, Mr. Mark, kindly ask you to subscribe because he's small. For Mr. Mark, we're gonna go with 4,000 quads. Let's try it out. Also some small cat character. Let's try it like to do it like quite low poly because it's quite simple. I'm gonna try actually 2,500 to see the result. Also some robot. There are quite a lot of details. So okay, we can actually go try like 8,000. Let's see how good it will be. And here's the first result. Here's the orc. By the way, here is the setting like to preview shading. So by default it's flat. You can also choose to smooth, like depend on how you used to it, right? So maybe this one is like more how you used to preview it in your software, right? I think like for character that makes sense. So you know like that basically it's smooth, but it flats and you can see the polygons better. And guys, this is like absolutely insane. I would say some details might be omitted along the way, but like maybe I will fix this too a little bit. But overall, look at this. This is absolutely insane. Even eyes are half spheres. That's crazy. Take a look on the garment. And the cool part is that there's basically nothing inside. So it cuts the body where the clothing goes on top, while you can see there is like a gap, like so basically it keeps the volume, right? This is absolutely fantastic for me. Honestly, I would say like, okay, there are like some small thing that I will fix as a professional artist, maybe 1-2 loops, but compared to what it was before, this is like 1 hour to 3 minutes of fixes, especially if you use the right approach, which still is to generate it parts to parts to have more control over it and get better results way faster. Crazy. Let's take a look on the piglet. Also, this is like almost perfect job. The mouse is open. We can see lower teeth. We can see upper teeth. We can even see the tongue, the hat. Look at the topology of the hat. And you know what's cool? Let me show you. I'm gonna quickly export it to Blender and explain why we love so much this smart mesh. Now, here's our piglet. Now, I'm gonna go to edit mode, and let's say I want to move the hat around. So here's what I'm gonna do. Like, this is the first time I actually open mode. I'm gonna press Ctrl L, and then the hat is selected. The Ctrl L in Blender basically selected by delimiters, right? And each mesh, like I can press on the eye, and I'm most likely gonna have this result. So I'm gonna press on the head, and I have whole head selected at once. Neither AI basically does this great job. I want to remove the button, boom. One click on one vertex, press X. I don't have this button anymore. I want to fix this one, boom, easy. Oh, okay, I think we found the issue. There's something with the tail, right? I don't think it's like a real tail. Hey, but that's not a problem. We can fix that easily. However, I still recommend always generate it in parts. That way you will always have more control. But this is fantastic. If you're a 3D artist, I really will appreciate your comments on this particular feature, how important it is for you. And just for those who are wondering like why it's not texturing app, this because a smart mesh produces only to topology very fast. And of course you can texture that. Just go to the texture tab and select the texture. Let's say, let me show you here. And I'm gonna show you the whole workflow when we're gonna do the complete character. For now, main thing here is like the wireframe, like how juicy is it, like how capable it is. And here you can see the textured version. So texturing also works quite nice here. While for texturing, it's still not that perfect. So if you struggle with AI texturing, I have best possible tutorial about texturing, specifically how you can combine Tripo with Modif all together. That's like best combination. Like the video will be somewhere here. Now a little bit more meshes. Here we have the cat that I generated very low poly. Look at the mustaches, like each mustache is like a polygon. And look at the wireframe overall. I think it's crazy. And reminder, like we choose to go with 1500 quads, which here equals 2500 faces. And the calculation is a bit different. Nice. And the robots. Wow. For those who was wondering like hard surfaces, how good it is, guys, it is good. So it actually decided to put one polygon here, not to add like a lot of loops, etc., because this is a flat surface. It's how artists will actually do that. Look, it's crazy. Look, I said 8,000 quads budget, and it doesn't spend it like everywhere. If like, you know, like you have like a lot of budget, like why not add here more quads? But it doesn't, because it doesn't make sense to have it more here and here. And look, all the shapes, like it's beautiful. It uses quads where it actually needed, or this small parts. Look here. Wow. And what I really like is that like the parts that are inside, it doesn't add some polygons, right? Like it basically keeps it open. Wow, this is an amazing job. One more thing that always bothers me and I'm struggling with is hairs. So we're gonna generate few hairs. They must be actually optimized. So we're gonna give 1500 budget here. For this hair, we're gonna do another female hair. We're gonna give 2000 budget. Let's try it out. And short male hair. I think we also can go 1500 here. So first result is ready. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, quads. Nice. Take a look. It's not making the inside part as a polygons. It's open because it sort of knows that you're gonna put it on head anyway, and that's insane. I would say like here it's a little bit mistake because most likely these strands will be visible and you have to cover them, or it does. Oh, actually it does. Sorry. I think it's just difficult to see it here because it's thin. It actually did what I said, right? So allegations dismissed. And look here, it's also beautiful, right? Maybe a little bit not perfect in terms of this double strand. I think like, yeah, it can be so, but probably not better be so, right? Maybe because of budget. Let's take a look on one more. Here we go. Okay. And I just made a video about generating that with P1, and I was struggling with this sort of hair. Here, it's so much better, right? Look, strands are logical. Okay, we found an issue. I found an issue. There's a hole here. So sad. This guy was trying so hard and get so far, but in the end, because of this whole, haters gonna say it's not perfect enough. But for me, guys, this is absolutely insane, and I cannot imagine not using this. It's like driving a car comparing to flying. And we have stylized male haircut. Okay, so this is the messed up. Yeah, this is a very difficult test. Actually, let's give it one more try. I did like 1500. How about we try 3000 polygons? Because I like the front view, but from the back perspective there's a little bit of mess here, right? Inside, like some strange loops, and here a few strands like basically go wrong. Let's take a look if we give more polygons. Much better result, way better results. Oh, nice. Yeah, I guess as I said, like the choice of polygons is absolutely important. This result is wow. Just look at this. Each strand individually done. Actually, let's try like 6,000. What's it gonna do? I think 6,000 will make it worse, to be honest. Like this 3,000 is something like a perfect balance. And look at this. The strands that are not close to the heads, it made the double side for them, and the rest is open. This is absolutely beautiful. This was still looking at 3000 faces. Okay, so 6000 it generated head. I think it thought like, I don't know where to spend this budget, and generated head. This is because on the reference, you see there is a line. I think that's the reason. But the cool thing is that on the lower polygon, it did not do that. Technically, this should not be here. Next example is garment. Anime garment. Let's give it like 3000. Budget. I have boots from Puss in Boots. For boots, we're gonna give 2000. I have classic human garments, like boring, I know. Let's give it like 4000 boss. And a complete costume, why not? For this costume, I'm gonna go with like, let's try 7000, let's say. Anime clothing. Okay, here we go. A little bit weird in terms of polygons. Yeah, definitely want to fix that, like some interesting stuff. Otherwise, look at this. Wow. Look at how it does sleeves, right? So it adds one loop and nothing. It doesn't go inside. It just adds one loop on the edge. That's exactly how 3D artists would do. Maybe 3D artists can add one more small extension inside as a loop. Just depends again, like how close it goes to the hands. But if the hands actually touches this, you don't need that. Same goes here again, like look, this is a beautiful work. This is absolutely beautiful work. Detail. I don't think like I specified detail, but I also didn't specify any other side view or back view, so that's potentially possible. If you want like 100% good results, you can specify like back view or one additional view, so there is nothing generated. I think anime style might mean this like Neko girls or something. Look at the boots. Beautiful. Like what to change here? I don't even think like there's some changes needed. Like maybe like there's like small thin line of polygons that's really redundant. Maybe it actually fits. Okay, like I see like very, very small issues that technically can be considered like, oh, like it's not a professional. But overall, that's beautiful. The boots. Okay, sometimes it also does it like this. So basically cap it. Also good approach. Well, I don't know what to say. Like everything is good here, right? Okay, laces. It's not a bad choice. Let's try more budget and see if it will do the laces as separate objects. I think it will do. I'm gonna go try 4000. And last time I tried 2000 something. And indeed, with more poly counts, way more details. And look, each lace is basically there. The funny thing is that there are no laces visible on my view. And I think that's the issue, right? So if I want like laces to be better, I think I definitely need to add the front view. And unfortunately, there is a small hole here. Other than that, beautiful. And again, like, look, the distribution of the polygons is smarter, way smarter than it was before. Like, it doesn't add like another loop where it's not needed. Human pens. Okay, here we go. Right. I think this is probably the first example I'm not really satisfied. Overthinks the folds here, right? So here we go for flat. It's not bad, but it's not the best way to go over folds here, right? And since it tries to follow the shape, yeah, then this is not the best use of this feature, because probably it is better made through simulation or something. Let's take a look on the jacket. Jacket has less folds, but we can see the pattern also follows here, right? So it tries to do the folds, like keep geometry, and I gave it like a budget like 4000 quads. Gonna be honest, this is not the best use case for it. Even though again, like, oh look, this is a separate thing, right? Cool. Even though it tries really better than it was before, but it's not ideal mesh, not ideal execution. And full dress. This one is actually way better because it's like a neutral pose, a pose, and we have like less folds, so it follows nicely. You can see each pocket here is like a separate mesh. Wow, cool. All right. And maybe the budget here, like 8000, is probably too much, right? Let's try more hard surface. I have like this cool weapon prepared. We're gonna try it like with 2500, right? Also, I have sci-fi rifle. Flat surfaces, I think that should be very nice compared to what we just saw. Let's try 3500 here because there's like small details, or just 3000. Okay, first one. Nice. Wow. So this is like pretty much ready asset. Okay, like on the sides, maybe there need like of one loop here, right? Just to not have like too much stretching. Other than that, it's ready assets to get textured again. Like look, every button, look how every button done. Look how it does the handle. Look here. Stunning, amazing. Let's try to texture this one to take a look. And the rifle. Okay, just look at the beautiful choice of the polygons here, right? I don't know, if you're a hard surface artist, let me know like how you're gonna rate this mesh. This one is an issue, I believe. I'm not sure this should be like that, like this, how it connects all the faces. I think better ways to connect it in the middle. It's technically okay-ish, but definitely not the best way. And I see that's the pattern here like that. Actually, I want to ask ChatGPT, is this how professional topology should look like? Okay, so ChatGPT confirms it should not be like that. So we either go in the middle, or we can also do the less polygons, like dividing them. Okay, so there is a room for improvement. Oh, by the way, here it's better job, right? All other surfaces, I think, beautiful. Also, let's try to texturing it. This is, by the way, the textured weapon. It's a complete asset, right? Just look at this, right? Nice. And here's a textured rifle. Wow. You can also add PBR here. Let's actually try to add PBR as well. With PBR, it actually makes much more sense. All right. Can be more reflective, but yeah, definitely better. A few more tests before we make a character. Here's the fox head, and here's the result. It's absolutely beautiful. Look. That's so cool. I don't know what to say. I think it does way better job with Stylized. The realistic stuff, like garment with folds, less accurate. And here's the wolf. Here's the input, and here's the wolf itself. Also, look, it did not create any unnecessary polygons where it's not needed. That's amazing. You might wonder how it's gonna texture all of this. I also wonder that. Let's try to texture them and see. And here we have the fox. Nice. And here's the wolf. Wow. That's just fantastic. There are no like skipped parts, you know? Like it textured nicely, absolutely nicely. Like look at this absolutely stunning guy. That's beautiful. And quickly, a few more examples. I was trying to challenge it with the text, like Guild of Smith, for example. Unfortunately, still cannot do text. So you can see everything is fine except text. One more challenge with text, absolutely nothing. It's just ignore the text. And I gave like 4,000 quads. Like, so maybe to consider it's not enough. Let's actually give it like, okay, 10,000 quads. For the coin, also 10,000 quads. Let's see if it can do the text. No, absolutely ignoring. I think the data set that they were using, like this, considered like as a texture. Well, actually, I just realized that technically that's better to make it as a texture, right? This text, not as a geometry. But let's say I want it as a geometry, and that will be a big object, so that's not gonna work. However, even if it decides to do the text as geometry, you can see, unfortunately, it's not going to work. So this is the bottleneck. It can't do the text accurately. Did some houses. Okay. Also very interesting. Like, look, here it just made like one triangle. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, this is a simple house, right? Oh, look, some parts are actually inside. Okay. Yeah, you cannot see them from here. It's like two solid polygon. Okay, here you can see them. Also did a wheel. Ooh, but this one is actually very interesting. Nothing here. Okay, very good. Look, wow, this is what actually interesting. Look, each brick is done in exactly the same way. And there are grass blades. Wow, this is so cool. We have these grass blades and stones. I really want to know how I'm gonna handle this texture here. Like, this is so interesting. We're gonna get back. Did the car also? Okay, this is an issue. It should not be like that. So this is a problem. Other than that, wheels, the body. Look, it's almost great. But for this complex geometry, I would be honest, like there are some issues, obviously, like these parts here on the front glass should not be like that. But honestly, if I would have to make the car like that, I will definitely split it into the parts, like 100%. Because again, there's inside part of the car, right? And exterior. So like glasses separately, interior separately, and then you bring it up together. Or on the generation, I would make it like a blackout, so the glasses are not transparent. Okay, and here's a textured version. Wow. Well, just tell me this is not magic, because look, all grass blades are individually texture it as grass. This is an amazing low poly assets, under 3600 faces. Look, we have geometry everywhere where we need geometry. Look, look, look. This is just beautiful. Can't say anything else. Alright, I think that's clear enough. That is amazing model. It has still some limitations such as text, such as realistic objects, etc. Now let's say I have a stylized character and I want to create it. How faster my workflow will be thanks to this new update? It will be significantly faster because I'm gonna skip whole headache with this low poly stuff and I'm gonna generate this amazing cat. And it's perfect challenger here. Why? Because everything is sort of stylized toonish. So let's generate it. So we're gonna create all the objects first. You can see all the settings that I'm using. I'm gonna try to go quite low poly. I'm gonna actually generate body at once and just look at the results. Like everything is there. Like, I mean, I don't really need to mess a lot. I also gonna texture it here right away in Tripo. Oh, by the way, there's like a preview in Toon Shader. If you intend to use Toon Shader, you can preview it here and see like texture works well, or like to do another regeneration. But I'm not gonna generate everything at once. I definitely gonna separate accessories such as boots, such as weapon, hats, etc. And I think like I can even generate the belt separate just to set the right amount of polygons, etc. So that was like 10 minutes in general. Okay, maybe extra 10 minutes because I spent some time extracting the images. Taking all of that to Blender and let's combine them into the character and cut the unused geometry. One thing I spot, because I accessed this Tripo P2 in beta, and when this video is out it should be publicly released. I'm the beta tester, like somehow they give me access. One thing I spot that there can be some inverted normals. I think this should be fixed before they release, but just to let you know, honestly there was this small issue and I had to manually invert the normals. I think that was actually related not to P2 but to texturing, how the surface was recognized, like inside outside part. Anyway, that doesn't stop me to build up the character. That was like a small hiccup. Bringing all parts together, like very easy, like sculpting modes, align all the objects, etc. If you work with textured models and low poly, you can also do that in edit mode. There are some settings like to keep the texture from stretching, etc. And one small thing that I did in this case is, since I generated some parts separately, I was adjusting the colors through hue saturation a little bit. And boom, the character is there already. Look. Well, I mean, 30 minutes at most for me. And you guys, again, like following these advices, keep it in parts, learn a little bit Blender, like this, how to do this movement around, like manipulation, do it low poly right away, do the right texturing, like there's like all that stuff is amazing. I just recently dropped like huge video on YouTube like explaining all that steps, and this will be a huge addition. Or you're very welcome to join my 3D AI course where I'm gonna guide you from A to Z. We have amazing team helping me like to answer all the questions. We prepared homeworks and I try to keep everything up to date when we have new updates. Right now we have more than 100 happy students. Link will be in the description. Take a look. Now the next step is to rig the character. I'm gonna quickly do that through AccuRig. Very simple, right? Just go set markers for body, for fingers, etc. Like very simple. Again, when you work with low poly meshes, like it's absolutely easy. I really like this moment because it's like when the character first come alive. That's absolutely stunning. Then, as I always say, like rigging is probably one thing that is not really sold at that level, that always scares beginners, but it's not that hard. It just looks hard, like weights, bones, etc. I think that's still worth knowing this part, or like learning a little bit. It's really not that challenging because you have the mesh there. You just need to distribute weights. You need to learn like how to work with these brushes, etc. I have like dedicated video about that. In my case here, I just reviewed some weights and added bones to the tail because I want to assign it as a physical bones in Unreal Engine, right? So you can see here's how it works. And then it's time to Unreal Engine. I'm gonna use that parkour template and just retarget my character onto it. I made a complete video where I explained this part as well if you want. So in Unreal Engine, I set the physical bones, I set the cloth physics because I have some loose parts, constraints of course, and replace it in the blueprint of that template so I can run around and have fun, right? Altogether, little bit more than 1 hour, guys. And look at this. Here we go. probably, yeah, I should have do the shoulders a little bit better. I can see it right now, but when I'm already recording that, but everything else absolutely nice. Well, that was Steph as usual. Don't forget to like this video, guys. Really appreciate your support, and see you in the next one.